What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan the Baptist, and today we're going to talk about a bit of a more serious topic today than aliens and demons and stuff. Not that that's not serious. Today we're going to talk about Buckgate, or if you don't really know what that means, it's if you're not on the inside on Twitter, it's the story of Tom and Jenifer Buck. Who I guess he's a pastor in the SBC. That's my understanding. I don't know them, but I follow him on Twitter. So a year ago, something happened in the SBC. I think like he talked to one of the, or maybe it was longer ago than that. I don't really know the timeline. That's kind of the whole point of this video. He talked to some guy who was in the running, a candidate or a political person in the SBC, and then because of that, allegedly, his wife's personal testimony that was a rough draft, supposedly, gets released to the media in what seems like a malicious attack on him. And so, like, I don't know too much about it, which is kind of why I want to watch these videos. That Tom Buck has just released all the, or well, not all, but a lot of the information and evidence that they have. Because one of the sad parts is that Southeastern and Dr. Aiken and Karen Pryor and some of these people who are involved on the other side to varying degrees, are super shady and quiet about this whole issue. Like, they haven't really responded. They aren't really being transparent about this issue, and they seem to be hiding information for whatever reason. And it's kind of sad. Like, I don't know what it would be like to have your own like personal testimony between you and your wife used as a club against you politically. Like, that's just kind of gross, if true, which, you know, as far as I can tell, it seems to be. Like, if it wasn't true, why wouldn't they just like have open transparency? Like, you know, just answer questions and, you know, figure it out. But Southeastern has been very quiet on this issue, and they did an internal investigation and found themselves to be totally in the right, which, okay, I feel like that's not super trustworthy, you know. If you're hiding something, you know, an internal investigation is not always reliable. Anywho, I mean, investigation needs to happen. I just, like, it seems like, to me, this is my opinion, it seems to me that they're hiding something. I don't know why or what. Anywho, so apparently dialogue between Southeastern and the Bucks has broken down, and they're not communicating. And I saw these videos that, okay, sorry, before I get to that, the dialogue between them has broken down, and so Southeastern basically told them, we don't want to see any of the evidence you have. Just if you're going to go public with it, go public with it. So play the cards, let they fall where they may. So Tom Buck has partnered with some company, I guess. That's what it seems like. I'm super in the know. Anyways, and they've released a few videos, I guess, documenting what happened. Of course, it's going to be very from their perspective. So I'm pretty sure that's the way these videos are. I haven't actually watched any of them, so you'll be seeing my first reaction. But really, I don't think this is on YouTube right now. It's only on Twitter. So I just felt like it'd be good to have it on here. So if they copyright strike me, that's fine. I don't really care. I'm just posting it out there on the YouTubes, because it's a lot easier for me to watch YouTube videos than it is on Twitter. So anywho, so I thought maybe there'd be people like me out there who have the same reality. and just use YouTube a lot more than Twitter. So, anyways, I've got some kind of, I'm almost at the end of like a sinus infection, so if I sound kind of weird, I apologize. I'm almost well again. But let's go ahead and get into it. You didn't come here to talk about my allergies. All right, so this is Tom Buck. I found him to be a pretty decent dude. I don't always agree with him, but I don't agree with everybody, or I don't fully agree with anybody on Twitter. So, but everybody doesn't, or a lot of people don't like him, but I find him very like logical, very kind, very friendly. So I've said stupid stuff on Twitter, so everybody has. So it is. I feel like he's a decent dude from what I've seen. So here's I think this is the first one. It's 13 minutes long. So let's watch this, and we'll go from there. I might move me so you can see them better. There we go. All right, here we go.
No information was revealed to us until we went public. Private dealings have become the means by which to excuse and do nothing. I believe we have been mistreated as fellow believers in Christ. I believe I have mistreated as a survivor by the leaders at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. And I believe the testimony of Christ has been damaged. And this entire situation has been mishandled in egregious ways.
So I raised myself so you could see. This is her statement to the the Sebit's trustees, May 11th, 2022. So it's interesting because the SBC has been all about abuse victims, but then when one of the more conservative members has like an abuse victim that is being mistreated by the SBC, nobody cares. So, I don't say nobody cares. I'm exaggerating there. But, yeah, it's interesting. They're all about abuse. But when, when somebody on the other side of the aisle has a problem, the same people don't seem to care. But just my input. So this was to the Sebit's trustees. And so that's just part of that. So let's get back into it. I didn't want to interrupt her.
In the month of May of 2022, the Bucks met with Danny Aiken, Keith Whitfield, Cam Pryor, and 2 members of the Board of Trustees for Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary to confront the mishandling of Jenifer Buck's rough draft. The draft contained very private information that has been leaked to Baptist News Global, a popular media news outlet, to smear Pastor Tom, his wife, and his ministry on April 11th, 2022. How did this tragedy occur? What series of events led to this moment? Well, to start, we need to start from the beginning. Back in 2018.
So I will say, Karen Pryor is actually gone, as far as I know. I've heard that she is no longer at Southeastern or in the SBC. So I don't know if that's related. And I think Keith Whitfield is actually out as well. So I don't know if it's related, but he's no longer in his position. So of course Danny Aiken's still the president. And just to be transparent, I love Dr. Aiken. I went to Southeastern for both of my degrees, so I have a lot of respect for Dr. Aiken. I went to a couple of his classes when I was in college, and I met with him personally, and so he's just a really great dude. And so it kind of saddens me that he's involved in all this. So even if he's not directly responsible for some of this, in a broader sense, being the man in charge, he bears responsibility for some of this. So I'm really disappointed with how this has been treated. I think to his credit, he's done a lot of good things in the early days of this mess. But anyways, I don't want to input too much of my own opinion. Let's get into this. I mean, I'll give my opinion eventually, but. Part 1.
On May
I
5th,
don't mean to make light of
2018,
this.
Tom Buck reached out to Karen Pryor for feedback on an article that Jenifer Buck had written. Karen Pryor is a prolific writer and speaker of many notable institutions, and is a good friend of Tom Buck. Tom texted Karen, "Karen, I hope you are doing well. I want to ask you a favor. You may not be able to, but I wanted to ask. In light of the Me Too movement and recent issues within the SBC regarding abuse of women, my wife has written an article to tell her story. The first 5 years of our marriage, I was verbally and emotionally abusive in our marriage, and this ended up in an instance of physical abuse. In addition, she has been molested as a child that complicated the issue. God restored our marriage, and she wants to tell the story. Would you have the time and willingness to read her story and give her some feedback? If so, I'll put the two of you in contact." To which Karen responded, "I would like to, most definitely. I'm out of town now and leaving again in a few days, and it's the end of semester. How quickly does she want feedback?" And throughout the next week or so, a series of friendly exchanges between Tom and Karen. Karen understood she was trying to provide feedback for the essay because she saw the power of the gospel in redeeming a broken marriage. "I don't want to rush my feedback on her essay. Too important." However, the rough draft contains very sensitive information about Tom and Jenifer's past before they were married, and that is something they don't want to publicly proclaim yet. And after some back and forth dialogue between Karen and Jenifer for about a week, eventually Karen decided it would be good to have a professional editor look at Jenifer's article.
As I said, I do agree that the initial request was for feedback. It was never for editing. And that's something that does need to be clarified. There are a couple of statements made that you guys asked me to edit it and I never did. I don't edit. I'm not an editor.
On May 21st, Karen introduced the idea of publishing Jenifer's rough draft, and seeking permission from Jenifer, Karen asked if she would be interested in having my editor at Christianity Today's women's page look at your essay to consider for publication. It was also the same day Karen messaged Tom. "I just emailed Jenifer back. CT is interested in her essay, if she's ready for that, and if you are." But Tom was hesitant to send the article to publication. He wanted more feedback before sending it to some random publisher. It contains details about the abuse that happened to Tom before he ever met Jenifer. Tom, thinking it over, said to Karen, "I have no problem with it at all, other than being careful with my abusive past. But we could carefully word that. We have always been an open book." After Tom discussed with Jenifer that he had shared with Karen the need to remove details about past abuse, Jenifer emails Karen back on May 23rd, 2018. "That will be great. Thank you so much for your help with this. I'd still like to discuss any ideas you have on this." It's clear that both Jenifer and Tom Buck still wanted to have feedback on the essay before the draft reached out to editors to be published, but that never happened because...
All right, so short recap. Jenifer wrote a essay that was basically a memoir, or it was her life experience regarding the abuse of her past and her testimony. And so, being on friendly terms with Karen Pryor, they sent it to her to take a look at, and then after that, not to be edited, to be looked at, Karen Pryor suggested that it be sent to Christianity Today for possible publication, but Tom Buck was hesitant. That's what I got. What did they say here? So he says he has no problem with that, but I think they basically want to make sure that specific stuff that they're not really ready to release to the public would have to be censored, and so that's why this is even censored. So there we go. Let me get back to where we were. So that's kind of how this all started. All right, here we go.
2018. That will be great. Thank you so much for your help with this. I'd still like to discuss any ideas you have on this. It's clear that both Jenifer and Tom Buck still wanted to have feedback on the essay before the draft reached out to editors to be published, but that never happened because on May 23rd, the same day Jenifer responded to Karen, tragedy struck.
A year ago, I was in downtown Nashville, Tennessee, and I was walking to a meeting at Lifeway. I stepped into a crosswalk, and I didn't see the bus coming until it hit me. I ended up in Vanderbilt Hospital for 8 days with a fractured shoulder, a fractured spine, a fractured pelvis, a fractured ribs, and 2 collapsed lungs.
With Karen recovering from the terrible accident, it became impossible to further progress with the draft. With the busyness of life and no one to help her edit, the project had been placed on the back burner for Jenifer and Tom. It is confirmed that Andrea Dilley, an editor of Christianity Today, did receive Jenifer's rough draft on May 29, 2018. Andrea, this is the essay I told you about that you were interested in seeing. I think there's a lot of potential here for a powerful and nuanced story about abuse. This is just a draft, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to give much feedback on it. But Jenifer is open to feedback from you if you're interested in her story. But Andrea rejects the article on June 4th. I have to pass on your pitch. In the meantime, I would encourage you to pitch your piece to another outlet if you feel so inclined. It's important to note, at this point, only Andrea Dilley and Karen Pryor are confirmed to have the rough draft. When the draft was leaked to the BNG news outlet in 2022, Andrea Dilley makes it very clear on June 6, 2022, that she did not share the rough draft with anyone, nor did anyone approach her to authenticate the rough draft. So only 2 people were in possession of Jenifer's article in the spring of 2018. But after Karen's accident, circumstances began to change dramatically that will cause both Karen and the Bucks to drift apart. Over the next couple weeks, the Revoice Conference that affirmed the gay Christian movement began to rock the SBC. Many notable leaders didn't support it, but some did, including Karen Pryor. However, this didn't stop Pastor Tom from confronting Karen for her support for Revoice and prompted a series of public and private debates on Twitter. I'm not sure any of us understand, however, why a Christian would want to label himself according to godless desires makes no sense biblically. Yes, I thought you opposed the term gay Christian. What do you suggest a person who has the same sex attraction and wants to be obedient to Christ use to describe his condition? Should he use no words? Honestly asking. I do oppose the term. Defining our identity by attractions isn't biblical, especially when that attraction is disordered. Tom was not convinced of Karen's nuanced position in support of Revoice, and despite the disagreement, Karen was still working on getting Jenifer's story to an editor. She managed to get the attention of SBC Voices in publishing the article, but Karen needed the Bucks' permission to send the draft over. And on June 26, 2018, Karen texted Tom, "SBC Voices is interested in Jenifer's essay and yours. They suggested writing a 2-part piece if you would be willing." But Tom said, "I'll talk to you later about this. Jenifer is open, as am I. I'm publishing an article tomorrow. I redid it after the ERLC published their Revoice statement. I'm sending you the article. I truly hope it doesn't destroy our friendship, but I will understand if you don't want to move forward with Jenifer's article in light of what I say." On June 27th, Pastor Tom published a strong article for G3 Ministries, which the article calls for the termination of Karen Pryor being a research fellow for the ERLC. I consider Dr. Pryor my friend. I hope to remain her friend, but I believe she should step down from the ERLC or Dr. Moore remove her unless she withdraws her endorsement with a good conscience.
All right, I know I haven't said much. I actually didn't know all this stuff, so this is good. So I guess there is more to the story about perhaps what was going on than I ever realized. Of course, I don't tend to keep up with all the politics and stuff. I keep my ear to the ground sometimes, but I don't keep up with every debate that every person is having together. So this does seem a bit stronger than what I was saying. So if I misspoke earlier, I apologize. I'm not trying to I'm just telling you what I've heard, so that you know where I am. I'm open to hear evidence in opposition to that. So, if this is more of the thing, then I'll retract that and say this is more of what happened. But we'll see. Let's keep watching. I haven't seen this, so.
This article, of course, did not go over well with Karen. She felt she was being bullied by someone she thought was a good friend.
No, I mean, I do believe that. Tom and I have a friendship, and that's what makes it hard and confusing, because we have what I thought was a friendship. And yet, can't even count the number of times that he has, accused me on Twitter and tried to get me fired. And
well, I haven't tried to get you fired. I have tried not to get you hired, and I think that's ground zero for when you shared it, in my opinion. But I did not try to get you fired. I tried not to get you hired. I did ask for you to be terminated from ERLC.
This sad turn of events is what ended any potential of publishing the article. The next day, June 28, 2018, Karen got Tom and Jenifer Buck in contact with SBC Voices editor Jackie King, washing her hands and saying, "I will let you take it from here." But Jennifer's article was never sent to SBC Voices. Karen Pryor did not attach the document in the email, and this is confirmed by Jackie King in a follow-up email that said, "I know it might take some time to write it out, but once you have it done, you can email it to me and we can work through some edits and condensing if we need to." But the Bucks would never send the article over to SBC Voices, as they became preoccupied with other important matters. Even Josh King, the husband of Jackie King, in 2022, when the draft was leaked, confirmed that it was never sent to Jackie King. A year later, in 2019, Karen Pryor was terminated from the ERLC and was hired by Danny Aiken and Keith Whitfield of Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary, or Southeastern for short, on October 24th, 2019. Danny Aiken is the president of Southeastern, and Keith Whitfield is the provost of Southeastern and Karen Pryor's boss. So at this point, only Karen Pryor and Andrea Dilley have the rough draft. We saw before that Andrea gave a definitive no on ever sharing the rough draft. But did Karen share it with anyone else? When directly asked if she shared it with anyone, at first she claims she doesn't recall.
But Karen, can I add, to your recollection, have you given this article to anybody in the last year?
Not that I recall.
But when asked again, she says, "I don't think so."
But have you sent it to anybody in the last year?
Well, 2 years.
Okay.
Since November 22nd of 2019.
I don't think so.
On April 19th, 2022, Karen claims the Bucks asked her to send the article to prospective publications, and also said, "I do not know what happened to the essay after distributing it at their request." But that's not true. The Bucks never gave Karen permission to shop the draft around. They just wanted some feedback. And if Karen claims she didn't know what happened to the draft, then why in 2022, when the draft was leaked, Southeastern became ground zero for this whole fiasco? How is it that someone knew Karen Pryor was the only person that could verify the rough draft?
Keith said.
Now, before we go, I will say I can understand confusion with that. So. She's not an editor. And they were in discussion about seeing if people would publish it. So I can kind of understand, if she had made the argument that they had asked her to shop it around with publishers. That I could understand that kind of misunderstanding. You want my feedback. We talked about publishing it, so I took the liberty, thinking that you'd be on board of seeing what different publishers would think, so I sent it to them. But no, she's not claiming that. That's something I feel like I could understand, even if it is a miscommunication and some assumptions, potential assumptions on her part. But that's not what she's claiming. She's claiming that she didn't. Well. She's claiming that she doesn't remember sending it to anybody. So she's taking the hard line, no, I didn't send it to anybody. with more passive language, not like a firm commitment there. All right, let's there we go. All right.
Verify the rough draft.
Keith said that it was somebody had the draft and they wanted me to verify it, and it was a publication, a news outlet or publication or something, and would I verify it?
How did someone know to contact Keith Whitfield and have him approach Karen Pryor to verify the article?
And let me read you the best of my memory of what I think the text said from the best of my memory. It said, would you ask Karen if she would review an article supposedly written by Jenifer Buck about her marriage to confirm the authorship? I think she may know something about it.
And why does Keith Whitfield get personally involved in this whole affair?
They knew his cell phone number. And so I said, well, I want to see the text message and the phone number. He said, I deleted it. And I said, why did you do that?
All that will be explained next episode.
So. All right, so that's the first video. I'll probably review parts 2 and 3. It's kind of a mess, and some of the other parts are very. I know a little bit of what happened more in the next, what I assume is going to be in the next episode, because I didn't really even hear about all this until it really got to the southeastern stage, which is why I don't really know as much about what happened before. So if I got any of that wrong, I apologize. I'm not trying to spread misinformation. I was trying to tell you what I had heard, and so we'll just go with what they're saying here. At least this is their side. I'm sure Southeastern has or will put out their own side of the story. But yeah, so let me know what you think. We'll be doing a part 2. I'll probably just go ahead and record it now, and that'll probably be up tomorrow. But yeah, just kind of a mess. It's really sad, you know. Nobody's really well, I won't say it that way. Trying to be generous, you know, of all sides as best I can, you know. This is one of the problems with living in a sinful world is, you know, even as Christians, we make mistakes and we do things, and, you know, there's going to be a day where we're going to see each other for eternity, and, you know, all of our sins will be in the past, and we can live together in unity. And so what a glorious day that'll be when our Jesus we can see, and we have perfect union together, and I look forward to that. So it's not all hopeless. Christ is Lord. We will meet him again, and yeah, so I'll see you in part 2. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about this whole thing. What have you heard? Try to keep it respectful. You know, I have my opinions, but I'm trying to keep it toned down a bit. But here we go. All right. Thanks. See ya. Peace.